found all over Peru and displayed in national museums. This is the Aeronautical Museum in Lima. They have about 35 of the stones displayed, and at least 4 of them have dinosaurs on them. I was just there, and I had some beautiful photographs in the camera that was stolen, along with my computer, and I'll have to go back. But these were enough. This is another dinosaur on one of the stones there in the Aeronautical Museum. This is one of the, and we also saw them in the museum in Nazca, and I had great photographs, which I'm going to have to go back to get. This one I brought back with me. It's a 70-pound stone. It has 3 dinosaurs on it, and is of a slightly different style, found about 100 miles away from where the others were. This is on the Paracas Peninsula, about 100 miles from Nazca. And these are embossed, slightly raised from a bas-relief, whereas most of the ones in Dr. Cabrera's museum are incised. And you can see blood spots or body fluids from the mummy that was in the tomb with it, which is really intriguing. I think we're going to be able to date this. It's been a challenge to date the, well, you don't date the rock because that's not what's interesting. It's the carving on the rock that's interesting. How do you do that? Well, maybe this will allow us to do that. It was excavated in early 2006, this year. And these stones are continuing to be excavated. This is another stone that was excavated in 2005. Of course, Cabrera died in 2000. And you see a close-up there where this is slightly incised or embossed, and the close-up of the eye shows the saltpeter development growth in the grooves and the very obvious patina, which all indicate age. Also, in the tombs, you can see burial cloths and pottery, and they will display often the dinosaur motif. Now, it's kind of hard to do it precisely as you're weaving, but they did a pretty good job of depicting the dinosaur with their woven designs. The Moshi made beautiful vases. They're famous for this, and it's just impossible to reproduce. But look what they put on their vases. And this is about 2,000 to 2,500 years ago. These people were seeing dinosaurs. This is in the National Museum in Lima. Up in the northern part of Peru, they're gold death masks. But look what's on either side of the face. Here again, those dermal frills on his back and the long tail curling over his back and the huge teeth. We're seeing dinosaurs. These are the evidences from Peru that normally takes me an hour to tell about, but you've got about 5 minutes worth of it. Turvy fossils. Now, let's go to Mexico. This is another hour lecture, but we'll look quickly. In Guanajuato, down in Acámbaro, we heard about a discovery that is made by Jules Rudd back in the early part of the 1900s. It's difficult to skip over all of that. He uncovered or had in his collection some 33,000 ceramic figurines. And we had to go down there quite a few times in order to get all the evidence and learn what and get permission and so forth. But we were able to see these, and about 10% of the 33,000 of the ceramic figurines are of dinosaurs. Some of the Brontosaurus type were standing up. We learned that about 15 years ago in Bacher's book, Dinosaur Heresies, maybe 20 years ago now. But you look at what they were depicting probably 2,500 years ago, according to the thermoluminescent dating that was done, is just like what Bacher is telling us. And of course, Spielberg convinced us they all stood up with his movie. But again, a wide variety. I have over 20,000 digital images of this collection, and you don't want to see them all. About 2,600 dinosaurs. And I'm sure there are more than that, but I was trying to be conservative. But is there any question about what we're looking at? It's, I think, very obvious. They now have them on display. When we arrived there, they had them hidden in the back of the police department. They were ashamed. This will embarrass us. And it took an act of Congress to get them out. And now then, they're in a museum, publicly displayed and very well displayed, and they tell the whole story. Now, the National Museum and the Institute of Archaeology just has fits about this, but they know the facts. They've got them documented, and so you can come see them. This is my wife's favorite. But I think the conclusion is obvious here, that man and dinosaurs live together. And we see evidence of this all over the world. We, earlier this year, traveled to Cambodia. I had been sent a very intriguing picture on the internet from a tour guide from this area where they had uncovered a temple and had investigated a certain section that showed some interesting carvings on the temple. But in the northern part of Cambodia, over next to Vietnam, Thailand, we see some beautiful, spectacular temples. These are actually the largest and probably the most spectacular ever built. The major builder was Jayavarman VII, the most famous. He began to rule in 1181, and his picture is seen here in Phnom Penh in the National Museum. I took this picture earlier this year. And he's the one that built most of these, and particularly built to Prom. Now, you may see some scenes here that look familiar. This was a Buddhist monastery dedicated in 1186, but Lara Croft took some of the scenes from this area. You may have seen that one. And it's beautiful. Just almost every square inch of this temple is covered by carvings. But in this section, there at the western gate, as you come in, there's a corner formed by the intersection of the outer wall and that front gate, right there, where you see a stone column with animals represented in circles all the way up that column.